Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So it's been a while. I've taken some time to farm for the Eagle Bearer, and I even said I wasn't going to make a video until I find one, but I've noticed that Massive is anti-fun, so I'll probably not get an Eagle Bearer until the last division agent gets one. Then I'll probably be the least on the list. But been farming really hard for it. Created a third character and, farmed again this morning with the whole team of people who had Eagle Bearers, and it didn't drop. And, some of them didn't open the caches because they didn't have enough keys. So that might have been also another thing that maybe, worked against me. But whatever. When it's time, I'll get one. It's not really a big deal, but I think it's a big deal when you're farming and you don't get the reward. So for those of you who have 190 completions, 40, 60 completions, no Eagle Bearer, I don't know how you do it. After a specific point, I'm going to stop farming for it. But I'm not at that point yet. I still have a lot of content in the game, and so that's really fun for me in order to engage. I didn't rush the game through. A lot of people thought I did, but I didn't. And purposefully, I kept my content to still be out there for me to still come in and play and enjoy and still get my hours worth of my money. All right, let's look at this build. So this build first started off as just slapping together 6 pieces of aces, and then, the group that I play the raid with just saying, hey, jump in here, we'll all run, you already have aces, no problem. So I took the build, I kind of, thought a little bit over it, nothing much. I didn't even give me enough time to even roll my items. I was trying to roll when they started the raid, and I was like, crap. And so this is what I took into the raid. I took into the raid a mask with nothing, just the chest piece had only like 25,000 health, 9% crit chance. When it came to, and then it's 178 skill power. The holster had 4% crit chance, 9% crit damage. I had a mod there, and then the knee pads also had 7.5% crit chance, and I had a 3% marksman rifle damage mod, and then the gloves didn't even have any marksman rifle damage. It had 10% pistol damage. What else is was on this build? I recorded it before I made this video so you guys could see the changes. And is it the backpack? Yeah. The backpack had nothing. I mean, there was just nothing on the backpack. Pretty much, I think it had like a little bit of crit chance and stuff. Specifically, the number I cannot remember. So what I did was I got to work to see how better I could make this build. With its armor at like 207,000, health was about 70,000. And so my goal was to take this marksman rifle build and make it work. The marksman rifle itself was doing a base damage of about 68,000 while I was working on this build because of the gear sets bonus 10% marksman rifle damage, and also from my specialization. All right, so having done all of that, I have an improved version of the build, and so I want you to compare from beginning to end the changes that I've been able to make in the space of about an hour and just pulling things out of my stash. Okay, so here's the build currently. All right, folks, here's the updated build like I promised, and I'm really satisfied with where I have it right now. There are a few things that I would like for it to do, but pretty much here is the basis of it. I'm going to just tell you exactly how I went about each item, and you can get an idea of how to get these rolls. Now, for my mask, remember, I had a mask that had like 4% crit chance and something, silly like that. I think about 20-something% or so damage to elites. Now, I do have another mask that I went ahead and looked for, and it had 33% damage to elites, and I rolled 20,000 health on there because my health was about 50-something thousand, 52,000. It was really low, and if you're going to be dealing with what's their name, Ricochet and all the others at the airplane, you need to have yourself some decent amount of health. Even though you're doing enough damage, it makes no sense if you're on the floor while everybody is up, counting on you, because the Aces of Eights bonuses does give your entire team a buff. And so this is exactly why you want to be doing as much damage as you can and also staying alive as much as you can. I could have rolled 40% damage to elites here, but I had to go for the health roll. That was the sensible thing to do. On my backpack, I had another backpack that had 2 reds and 1 blue. Ideally, I would have enjoyed 2 blues and 1 red. Maybe one having armor, one having health. I know, crit chances here, but honestly, I'm not really, crazy about the crit chance rolls that I'm getting, but I had to maximize everything. So I went ahead and rolled myself 9% weapon damage on here. And then I have the crit chance. The 9% weapon damage is from the Richard Kaiser backpack that was sold at one of the DZ vendors a while ago. I bought myself about 10 or 13 of those because it's very difficult to get yourself a backpack that has high weapon damage rolls. I have one with 10% weapon damage. I don't even know where I got that 10% from, but I rolled it to another Badge of Tough backpack, but it's on my main character. Chest piece, I went ahead and rolled 18% headshot damage that I had on one of my Alps Summit chest pieces. Now, if I find a better chest piece, then I will transfer this 18% headshot damage to it, because this build, you want to try as much as possible to land headshots. I mean, yes, it's you can land body shots with the aces, and I'll show you my base weapon damage. I'm saving that for the end, just to, you know, kind of keep you guys, you know, on the edge of your seats a little bit. And it did have 6% weapon damage. I think this was 6.5% crit chance. So automatically that crit chance just had to go because I'm not necessarily counting on it. So I took the 18% headshot damage. On my mods here, I have a defensive and an offensive mod, which I took 7,000 health because I really wanted to get my health up to at least 70,000 is usually my comfort level when I play the raids or any activity that I'm doing. And, you know, being in this build and using the sharpshooter, staying in cover is to your advantage, and I'll show you why. And then I have a mod here with 5% marksman rifle damage and 0.5% weapon damage. Not the greatest on this 0.5% weapon damage, but hey, I'll take anything, you know, that will make the build better from what you saw in the former build that I already beat and completed the raid with. Now, on the holster, I had about, I think, 4% crit chance and 9.5% crit damage. I decided to go crit chance because there's already a theme of the crit chance showing up here and there. And I felt like the critical hit damage is going to be okay in a sense. It's not the greatest. It lands me at like 20-something% after you put everything together. And then on my critical hit chance, I went with 12% crit chance, which I had a holster that had 14%, but it capped it out at 12%. So that's, you know, why I have what I have right here. Now, I just realized that this holster is running a mod that I do not need to be running here. I have another one, 3% marksman rifle damage, which is going to replace it. So let's replace that right now. And then, you know, we'll see what our base damage is by the time we get there. I showed you backpack. Gloves, I went ahead and took these gloves that had, you know, 10% pistol damage and you know, 3% rifle damage. I went ahead and rolled 11% marksman rifle damage on there. Now, I could not find my 12% hoarded. I've been hoarding a 12% marksman rifle pair of gloves. I don't know if I've been hoarding a 12% one or a rifle one. I can't remember, but it was 11% that I had. So I can't speak to the fact if it caps it out or not at 11. So if you're looking to try a 12% roll, I can say for sure you're going to get 11% on the gear score 500 aces and eights pair of gloves. And then for my knee pads, I was also able to get 7.5% crit chance. I put my 4% marksman damage rifle mod in here as well. The highest you can get on knee pads, I think, is 10%. I used to have I think it's True Patriot or so knee pads. I had 9%. Well, one of them dropped from me, but I shared it with a friend. So I guess, you know, no hope of that 1.5% crit chance for me, if that's one thing that you're looking at. So with all of that, I was able to then take this marksman rifle and yeah, this SVD, I mean, this is crazy. This number is about 81,700, which it can go much higher because if you look at some of the mods that I have, they're not at their peak rolls. And that's where you see that you can get a base damage of about 81,000. And I have Lucky Shot, which I rolled from a surplus SVD onto this paratrooper SVD. Now, both of them, the difference between both of them when they're fully modded is in terms of stability. I think the paratrooper or I think it's accuracy, one of the other. I went ahead to the base of operations and I fired both of them extensively to kind of see which one I was feeling the most. And in my opinion, there is a slight difference between the paratrooper and the surplus for me while using a mouse to aim and fire. Now, when you're using a controller, that difference might be accentuated and you might, you know, not go for the paratrooper, but the paratrooper had at least 4,000 or 5,000, you know, base damage when the comparison was done with the other one that had the Lucky Shot. So I went ahead and took the Lucky Shot away from that one and put it here. Now, that one was also a good roll because it also had stable, but this one also had optimized. So 15% weapon handling. I am not against that because I already have some weapon handling on here from my two-piece, which is 20% weapon handling. So that increases that count overall. And then I'm going to take a nemesis to add to this in order to be able to give myself much more headshot damage, because with the nemesis I get an extra, it's a holster talent, I get an extra 25% headshot damage when I'm sculpting with my current weapon. Now I've modded also my paratrooper SVD the following way. I'm using the digital scope from the sharpshooter specialization, which gives me 45% headshot damage, which is really good. It's actually a lot. And then I'm also going for stability here versus damage to elites, just because I want more stability. Eventually, when I start to get more, I would say, comfortable with this build as a support build. I don't know how many of you have watched my old videos. I love support builds. Those are pretty much the only things I want to run all the time. And so this gives me an opportunity. Then I'll probably go for the 5% damage to elites, because it's something that I want, because my damage to elites rolls actually, I only have 33%. So if I can get myself, you know, anywhere close to 40 or 50%, I think that's actually decent for a build like this, and it's going to go a long way. And then furthermore, I added a stability mod here. I'll probably find, as I start to get more and more comfortable with it, I'll probably remove this mod and, you know, put something differently. Now, most of you are wondering where all my mods are. I literally just updated this character to World Tier 5 today. So thanks to all the guys that, you know, carried this character and just power leveled him up. I appreciate you guys so much, because, you know, it's crazy to play this raid. You got to have multiple characters. And I'm using the tightly packed marksman magazine, which gives me 5 extra rounds. Now, let's look at some intricate details with this build. I don't just want this to be a build video. I want this to be like just kind of the entire philosophy behind building like this, especially for support players. Now, the lucky shot, I think, when it comes to the weapon, is one of the biggest highlights. It's the talent that gives you pretty much your magazine capacity is increased by 20%, and then missed shots from cover have a 25% chance to return to the magazine. While you're firing this weapon, it's going to feel like you have much more, you know, bullets than you actually load into the chamber in your magazine, if I may say. And this is something that's actually pretty good when you're running. Now, another thing too is this digital scope having 45% headshot damage with the sharpshooter is also a very, in my opinion, a good leverage when you're using a build like this. And then I would say, sure, you have the nemesis extra 25% headshot damage, which is nothing little. I'm sitting, before even the nemesis I think is activated, I think I'm sitting on 226% headshot damage, plus 81% base damage on my marksman rifle. Okay, now if you look at the aces and eights, you look at its 5 and 6 piece, this is where I would say this build actually shines, because the 5 piece, the Dead Man's Hand, says flip a card by shooting an enemy with your marksman rifle. Headshots flip 2. Full House increases your magazine size by 100%. So you're still firing once you hit Full House. And then this stays for 10 seconds. And then you get 4 of a kind, which is also another bonus, and gives you 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. And then when you flip to aces and eights, you get the next 5 bullets grant 100% bonus damage. It is crazy, and I think it's the best gear set so far that the developers have made when it comes to sticking to a specialization and following that theme of what it should do. It's not overpowered, broken. It is just where it needs to be. It gives your team a lot of other bonuses. I remember I asked a question, from playing one of my raids. I saw my ammo going high, and I said, what's going on? Is there like a bug or something? And some people said, no, it's aces and eights. Some people said I was stupid. And I was like, man, for those of you who take the time out to cuss out a YouTuber, you must have a lot of issues in life. But it's okay. You can take your frustration out on my videos. I'm here to serve in any way that I can. All right. Now, another thing too is the sharpshooter specialization, which gives you some really cool perks. I mean, other than the extra marksman rifle damage bonuses, the extra headshot damage that it gives you, the weapon stability that you get 30%, you also have a few perks here when it comes to your tactical link. Now, you're already providing a lot of support using the aces and eights, so you also look at this, the sharpshooter tactical link and its intricate design, and you see that you're able to grant all group members that are closer to the enemies than you get 10% headshot damage. So you don't even have to, be close to the enemy. Like if you look at some of the other tactical links for the other specializations, sometimes they work with you being closer to your group members. In the terms of maybe, I think demolitionist, members close to you get the bonus, but this one, members closer to the enemy then you gets the extra 10% bonus damage. Also, when you're in cover, you get extra armor. So if I was freaking out about my health, I probably didn't need to, because while I'm in cover, I get extra armor. Now, it doesn't say the armor quantity here, but that's still something nice to actually have. And here is one of my favorites when it comes to running a raid, because if you're playing the aces and eights, there are a few locations that, I would say preferable locations that you will usually be set on. And one of them is on the station 4 or on the station 3, where you have that movable staircase for station 3, which keeps you above ground. And so you're usually going to be in cover when you're firing. And so if you stay in cover after 20 seconds, then you start to generate 5 marksman and 5 rifle ammo every 10 seconds. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but it prevents you from having to go downstairs every single time and start to reload ammo while you're short on ammo, because this is going to be your primary weapon and you're going to be running out of bullets really fast. And so this is something that's going to help you generate ammo when you don't need to be, running down the stairs. Because if you notice, this raid that we just played, that I played with the first build, somebody on the team got the commendation for no one dying in the raid. Now, I don't know why I didn't get the commendation or what happened, but I did go down twice in the raid, once from Lucy, and then there was a warhound that spawned right behind me when I was downstairs. If I was in my position, stuck there, but we had to go damage Razorback, then I would have avoided being in the crosshairs of a warhound. And so these are some of the things that I feel like makes this build, or this gear set, one of the better gear sets in the game so far. Now, I do have my other blueprints for the other gear sets, and so what my goal is to be building with those other gear sets and seeing how I can leverage them in order to make myself a very good and decent build that will work for the raid. But for now, Aces and Eights still remains, in my opinion, one of the best support builds right now, especially for the raid and even outside of the raid. This character, I don't think I'm going to build anything other than just gear sets on here. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for your time and audience. And if you have an Eagle Bearer for me somewhere, because I'm seeing all these comments saying, hey, we've opened the chest 1 million times. And I'm thinking to myself, I do not have time for that, because more games are going to be coming out very soon. And you guys have expressed interest in me covering them. So hopefully I get it before then. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for your time and audience and for your support. I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.